welcome to the JALTCALL podcast. We're your hosts for the day, Brian Gallagher in Nagoya and Geoff Carr.
Hey, Brian, how you doing down there where it's already hot by what I hear?
It's already hot, God damn it. It's 27 degrees here. Like it was cold
Oh
going to
my
work on
goodness.
today, but yeah.
High of
I guess
16 here with swans and ducks today, man.
spring is
you're
over.
living in
The
the wrong
Scottish
place.
summer is ready. Okay, so today we are interviewing JALTCALL 2026 site chairs Roger Palmer and Brent Jones. Roger Palmer is a professor at the Hiral School of Management at Conan University. He has undergrad degree honours in medieval and modern history, and he's got a master's education in teaching second languages. Roger, of course, is from the UK, so he speaks beautiful British English. And our other site chair is Brent Jones. Brent Jones has been teaching English as a second foreign language for nearly 30 years, first in Hawaii and then Japan, other parts of Asia. Brent's got a master's in language education in instructional systems technology. He's currently the director of language programs at Conan University, which of course the Hiral School of Management. He did his Ed.D. through University of Reading in the UK and is researching learner engagement in university EFL context. Other research interests include content-focused language instruction, instructional design, educational technology, appreciative inquiry, and many, many more. Welcome to the show, guys. Yeah.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
How is the weather now in early April in Nishinomiya?
It's nice here, actually. We had a real heavy rain yesterday, and I was actually riding home on my bicycle, and I got completely drenched. But today's a beautiful day, and nice and warm.
Well, it is great to have you guys with us here today. We've been as a conference at Conan before in Nishinomiya, and the people who were there at that time, by all accounts, it was just one of the best venues that we've had. Everybody really enjoys it and the feeling there and that. So we're very, very thankful for you guys having us back there at the conference.
One of the advantages of our campus is that we're about 10 to 15 minutes from central Osaka, really, from Umeda. And we're also 10 to 15 minutes from Sannomiya in Kobe. So you really have got two fantastic nearby locations.
So can I ask
is it
you
really
guys,
that fast? Wow.
How long have you guys been working together?
Wow, good question.
Well, Brent will say too long, but way
too long.
We've both been working about 18 years in the Hiral School of Management, actually from its inception. So we were there at the very beginning. But of course, we've known each other through our JALT activities, say from about 2006, 20 years.
2006.
Okay. And have you guys been, you've been working together for that long. What kind of collaboration have you guys gotten up to during that time?
Yeah, we've done a couple projects, mostly surrounding our language program. So we run a COIL program, and so we built it up from scratch. From zero. So even before we opened the doors here, we started the department in 2009, but we were on the planning committee for Roger. I think it was about a year and a half before we opened. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think around 2007, towards the end of 2007, we were already in working meetings.
Right. So we were really lucky in the sense that we had a chance to build something from the ground up. And we've had a lot of growing pains over the years. And a lot of our collaboration has been kind of working our way through some of those issues.
That sounds really rewarding and extremely cool, if I'll use a very sophisticated word there. But what was the impetus behind starting the program from zero like that? Was it just that the school had not had a formal language program before, or was there a perceived lack of something that you guys were brought in to address?
Yeah, it was a brand new department, actually. So Conan University has been around for about 110 years, but our former dean was the dean of the economics department at the main campus. And for the 90th anniversary, he was put in charge, or he made a proposal to open up a new department. He proposed that to the board of regents. And so, yeah, he got the green light to do that. And then I had known him through some work we had done together in the economics department, actually kind of intersession type programs for their students who wanted to study abroad but maybe couldn't. And so he invited me on as, part of the working committee. And he said, if you know somebody that you'd like to join as well. And I had probably met Roger maybe a year or 2 years before that with Teachers Helping Teachers. We might talk about that later. But I thought Roger would be a good addition, mainly because he comes from a really different background than me, and so we have different perspectives. And it's been really good. I mean, I don't know how Roger feels about it, but having different perspectives and coming from different background, I think there's been definite advantages.
Yeah, and then going back to something you said just now, Geoff, was that when the department was set up, you'll meet a lot of people in Japan who say, "Oh, I wish I could do this in my job, but I have to go through the university. I have to go through my bosses." And pretty much for Brent and I, we have made those decisions ourselves. So it's a heavy responsibility, but like you say, it is really rewarding. So we do have the ability to actually set what the teaching curriculum will be in that sense.
Lucky.
It is lucky, but it also seems like the kind of privilege that would be given to people who have demonstrated a certain degree of capability first, that they can be trusted with that. Because we all know one major way that all kinds of relationships in Japan work is by creating deeper trust. How did you guys develop the level of trust that was required to get that amount of agency in what you were doing, the jobs you were given?
In short, we bamboozled them. Actually, they had.
I'm taking notes here right now. I am. Yeah.
No, I think we were both. Actually, we were really lucky because there was one full-time professor at the main campus who was a proponent. He was on the working. He was part of the working group as well, and I think we knew him and had a good enough relationship with him that, he realized. And to tell the truth, following up on what Roger said, is one of the reasons that we had a lot of this freedom was because the campus has a geographical and psychological distance from the main campus. So the part of this project at the beginning was, okay, we're going to open this new campus. This is kind of experimental. It's based around project-based learning. We're going to give them a lot of rope and let them, try a lot of different things. And then whatever works out, we'll bring it back to the main campus. So that was the kind of idea.
So I was just thinking that so this 90-year, so around the 90-year anniversary is when they plan to do the new thing. So I work at Meijo University in Nagoya, and I started my job 10 years ago, like this week almost. And they had exactly the same thing. So this year we're celebrating the 100-year anniversary. And of course, around the 90 mark is when they decided to build a brand new campus. So that campus, we've had JALTCALL conference there twice. There may be kind of like 4 faculties. It's 4 buildings, like one small campus with a quadrangle between the 4. So I guess like universities, they plan ahead and they want to have like kind of big centenaries and big things kind of like happening. So your campus has been established for 10 years, is that right?
20 or 18. We just took in our 18th cohort.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. But when I went to your campus, and I thought, this looks really new and fantastic.
It was a lot newer the last time we hosted JALTCALL.
But of course, it's a very pretty building, and the atrium is very very open and airy, and it looks very fresh, right?
It actually won a couple of awards and was highlighted in some design magazines when we first opened. I can't tell you which magazines, but I know it was highlighted among architects.
Yeah, we've also seen a lot of changes in the area. I mean, that our building, part of the thinking that went into the location was the regeneration after the Hanshin earthquake. So the whole area we're in was actually historically, I think, the Hankyu Braves Stadium, and then it all got destroyed during the earthquake, which was 95, right? And then all around us are new buildings which have gone up, and it's actually improved the access, because now you can get directly from the station to our campus through this nice overground walkway, and so that's very popular with the students.
Yeah, it sounds great. It really does, and we are very happy to be back there. We talked a little bit here about you guys and your collaboration, how you came together in that, but what about individually? What kind of work have you been doing individually, say in the last 5-6 years? Post-pandemic, have you done anything differently, anything that's going on with you here in terms of research, or how your teaching styles have changed?
Roger,
Yeah,
you
some
want to go
things.
first?
Yeah, I actually, right towards the end of the pandemic, I went 22 to 23. I went on sabbatical to the UK, and I looked at English EAP. So I looked at academic purposes and also English for specific purposes, and I actually tracked Japanese students from another university who were studying in the UK, and how they adjusted to that whole experience of preparing to go overseas, then actually going overseas, and then seeing how reality was once they got there. And that was a very interesting experience, because seeing it through their eyes, I interviewed them shortly after they arrived, and then 6 months later, I interviewed the same students again. And what was interesting to see was that some of their dreams about going overseas were met in terms of improvement in their English, but also some of their disappointments, like when they were overseas, they tended to take classes together a lot of the time. They tended to live together a lot of the time, and they thought they were going to be perhaps around a lot of other international students. But of course, after the pandemic, there weren't so many other students going overseas at that time. So some of that was quite interesting to see. And to this day, there are still obviously some students that were scarred because they couldn't go overseas at all, even though they'd set their hearts on that. And other than EAP and ESP, I've been doing quite a lot of work on social semiotics, and in particular since 2010, I've been working with a university in Indonesia on genre-based pedagogy. So our program, as part of the content-based focus, we also have a genre-based focus to reading and writing. And we've seen enormous progress in our students' reading and writing ability. And if we track, which we do, them when they come into our program in terms of placement, they tend to be okay year on year in listening and speaking. But we've actually seen problems in their literacy over time. So often you'll see a a graph showing improvements in the listening part of their placement, but the fact that they're not reading as well as students used to. And we put a lot of effort into actually improving their reading and writing, and then we track those results as well. So that's been something very encouraging about, you do the research, you apply the research, and then you see the fruits of it. So that's been really nice.
Yeah, longitudinal studies can be great for actually seeing like real truth as opposed to just kind of like patchy short-term differences.
Right. Social semiotics seems like a field of study where you would perhaps be well positioned to be aware of the impact that the habits students pick up in the social media age really impact a lot of their skills. Did you find any change in how students going overseas interacted with social media, and did that have any relationship to the results that you saw, or was that not really a part of what you were looking at? I could imagine. Sorry, I was just going to say our incoming students change their social media habits quite a bit coming from other countries. I wonder if that's true for Japanese students going overseas.
Yeah, at the time, that wasn't really the focus of the study. But I mean, I take the point that one of the things I noticed, actually, I think I presented on this at JALTCALL before, was that the students overseas often felt very isolated because some of them had already had problems adjusting, both through growing up in this social media heavy environment and also during the pandemic when they couldn't relate to their friends as much as they wanted to. And while they were overseas, they actually wanted to speak to someone in their own language, sometimes in their home country, in their home institution, who would set up a call, perhaps, using Zoom or using Line or whatever, so that just a voice, someone they could speak to. And they often got really frustrated that they just wanted a little bit more support. And it wasn't always educational support. They wanted other kinds of support. And it just made me think, again, that learning, we do a lot of stuff in the head, but learning is the heart as much as the head. And that was one of the things that was a bit difficult.
Can I ask, like, how do you collect that data? Like,
while I was overseas, I did one-to-one interviews with the same questions to every student. There were 14 students in that group, and 7 of them came forward and said they would like to take part in the study. And so I asked the same questions about, it was actually quite long interviews. I had hours and hours of tapes from this, actually.
Tapes.
When I say tapes, I mean of recordings.
Recordings, yes, yeah. Of course.
And then, so it was really interesting. I did something similar many years ago with students who were studying from our institution who went to Canada, and I actually interviewed 10 students studying abroad in Canada. And at that time, I asked them, what would you have done differently if you if you knew now what you knew when you were actually applying? And that was very interesting because they said that they wished that they had, again, it wasn't about study. They said they wished that they had improved their knowledge of the world somehow, and that they could join into conversations which was so hard, and flip from topic to topic, because they found that really difficult when they got overseas and people started jumping between all these different topics, the news and politics and sports, and they weren't used to that. And one student, actually, when I was in the UK, I said, what was the most difficult thing you faced? That was one of the questions. She said the first night she arrived in her homestay family, and the woman in her homestay family said, oh, this Ukraine business is awful. What do you think about Putin? That was the first thing she asked her. And she'd never been confronted with that kind of that kind of question, that kind of discourse that you get in her life. And it really threw her.
Wow.
That makes a great deal of sense. That sort of less organized or perhaps more casual organizational semantics that you get in Western countries versus chaotic is perhaps another word for it, and that. But do you think it's that in Japan students simply are not exposed to that kind of environment in education or at home to the point that they're sort of deprived?
I think we're getting into a very big area here. I would say that they're perhaps over-educated in terms of the amount of schooling they get from a very young age is extremely large. Like they go to cram schools after they go to regular schools. They have short, relatively, summer holidays, and they have summer homework during that time. Whereas when we were kids, we did all the soft skill stuff. I don't know about you, but I mean, Cub Scouts and all stuff that, again, that was the heart learning, not just the head learning. And I would say it's not necessarily the type of learning per se in schools. It's like too much schooling would be my observation, if that makes sense.
Too regimented. I remember one time asking my missus, like, how are you doing with communication? Like, this was in Scotland. And she said, everybody's talking. And everybody's talking and nobody's listening, but somehow you manage to communicate all at the same time. And I said, yeah, that's the norm. And the whole idea, even like basic sentence structure, like in Japanese, the verb is always at the end, so you have to patiently wait to say like what the verb is so that you can understand the sentence. But like in English, of course, that verb is in the middle. And so not many people get to finish a sentence before your friend interrupts you, and then somebody interrupts them, and then up to this. And it just seemed like a kind of like an endless cascade of, of wave after wave after. In fact, like even waves didn't describe it, because normally there's like when you have waves, one comes after the other, and there's a kind of pattern to it. But, in British English especially,
But these other things, like I often ask university students, they say they've not cooked and they've not cleaned and they've not done things. I said, but didn't you learn first aid? Didn't you learn life saving? Didn't you learn? And they said, oh, you did all these things. I said, well, I was a Boy Scout. Of course we did these things. They said, oh, I never had time for that. I was at the cram school. And it's like, or they didn't go on summer holiday with their parents, so they never camped. They never had to prepare a barbecue. They never had to put up a tent. And it looks like a whole area of life. I use this term soft skills. I don't know what else to call it, but you know what I mean? This other area that's not about head and study, it's about
life skills,
other things.
Mindfulness. Mindfulness now in British schools is something that's specifically taught. So I think maybe there is a kind of like a disconnect with modernity. Where people are, doing too much regimented stuff, and then even parents are not quite so sure. In our studio talk, we were talking about, how there's too much technology in people's lives, and then there's not enough of those kind of soft skills. But it's a tricky thing. Brent, for you, so what kind of research have you been doing over the last 10 years or so?
Yeah, so kind of two areas. One is related to what I did for the master's course, was instructional systems design. Actually, you mentioned language education in instructional systems technology, but actually it was two different masters. As I was finishing the first master's, we had to take 9 credits in a different department. And I took mine in the instructional systems technology, which is basically instructional design and educational technology. And that's kind of how my foot into COIL as well. But starting even just before the pandemic, I was interested in something called team-based learning, and I've bored Roger with this over and over, when we're on THT events and things like that. But basically, team-based learning is used a lot in medical schools and nursing programs, and now it's broadened out and it's used in a lot more wider context. But so some of the research that I've been focused on with that team-based learning is how it works in conjunction with project-based learning, and then also in large classrooms. So I do one course in the fall, which is international relations and cooperation, and I have as many as 100 students in that class. And so seeing how team-based learning works in those kind of larger classrooms, and especially my research is in learner engagement. So does this help to keep learners engaged? The other thing was also about the same time, maybe a little bit later, and especially related to the pandemic, is COIL. So I've been researching and presenting on COIL. We've had a project over the last 4 years that kind of came out of JUIMON, which is the Japan University English Model United Nations. Some of my colleagues who bring students to that event realize that it's a pretty high hurdle. Doing Model United Nations for most students is a high hurdle. So we wanted to have a little bit kind of softer landing. And so we started using these online conferences, and we're basically student-run online conferences, and the faculty members are there as a kind of support team, but run by students for students. So that's been going for, I think, actually 5 years now. And the most recent one last year, I think, was maybe 5 universities in Japan, 2 universities in the Philippines, the university that Roger works with in Indonesia, and another high school in Indonesia. And then we also had one university in Germany and one university in Ukraine. And so that project and researching the participants' kind of reactions to and language and social skill development through those types of short-term online international conferences or other. And we use COIL, but it's not strictly speaking a COIL project, where my understanding of COIL is actually the online part is tied directly to what's being studied in the classroom at each of the institutions. So it's somewhere COIL-like or COIL-ish. So,
right. So I guess there are quite a lot of people doing COIL projects. We've had a number of people on before, and I know that there are some people going to be doing it at the conference in June. Guys, that's all we've got time for stage 1, for section 1. Join us in section 2 after the break, where we're going to be talking a bit more about the site. Okay, join us after the break.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Okay. How are we doing for time? We ran about 12. I set this to run to 4:30. I don't think it'll time out. It shouldn't time out, but that's maybe just the schedule time on the planner. Okay. Let's. That was good. That was really good chunk that we got there. We'll probably keep quite a lot of that. We'll not need to trim too much about it. So let's just get to part 2. So part 2, let's talk about the actual site. So of course you've already mentioned it in part 1. About the reconstruction and stuff like that, and the transport. So floors and building. We're gonna. Geoff, can you maybe mention a little bit about the themed rooms?
The themed rooms. Okay.
Yeah, so like you just mentioned that you
schedule
like
a bit.
that's really schedule. That's more schedule than site. And then
Just sort of how we're organizing the site by themes. Okay.
Yeah. So like Roger and Brent, if you can talk about maybe like tourist things to do in the area, like what maybe people could or should do.
Nishinomiya Gardens.
Which gardens?
Nishinomiya Gardens.
Oh, Nishinomiya Gardens. I already want to go to Osaka Joe because I'm a big castle fan. So some things like that, and they just like kind of getting to the building. I know there's one person traveling with a special needs child. There might be some people with physical disabilities, like maybe got a bad leg or a sports injury or anything like that, so I'm going to put a video in as well, which is basically a Google Earth walkthrough, from the station, to that the raised platform where you turn right and go into the elevator kind of thing. So let's talk about that a bit, and then maybe a bit about the banquet, and then that'll be us.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, so the like Roger said earlier, we are really in close proximity to the station, Hankyu, Nishinomiya, Kitaguchi. If you head out of the station, head toward the Amazu line, and there is the raised, so without going down to the ground floor, you can take the walkway toward Nishinomiya Gardens. Instead of turning left to go to Nishinomiya Gardens, you keep on going straight. And there's a building, actually that building wasn't there when we opened, but it's called Nishinomiya Gardens Plus. But you'll go right past a McDonald's. And if you go all the way down to the end, there's a steep stairs that go down. But if you
Holy crap.
If you just a little bit before that head into the building, there's an elevator that'll take you down to the ground floor, and then you can roll right up to our entrance. It's also within walking distance from Hankyu Station. I'm sorry, Hanshin Station, Hanshin Ashia, and also JR.
Right, Hanshin Stadium there.
Not.
Right, okay, hold on. Let's get the second bit started, and then you can do it so we can get it properly. I'm just going to kind of like put a quick mark. Right, okay. Hi, welcome back to the JALTCALL podcast. This is part 2. Brent and Roger. Brent, the site is obviously at Nishinomiya. Kitaguchi Station is the nearest station. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about the location and getting to it?
Yeah, sure. So coming from Osaka, you just go to Hankyu Umeda Station, which is the terminus of Hankyu on the Osaka side. And all of the trains stop at Hankyu Nishinomiya Kitaguchi. So the express train probably takes 10-12 minutes. Is that right, Roger?
Around that, yeah.
Yeah, and then even the slow train would probably take about 22, 23 minutes. Once you get to Kitaguchi, Nishinomiya Kitaguchi, then without going down to the first floor, staying on the second floor, there's a pathway that goes to Nishinomiya Gardens, which is a big shopping center. But if you take the walkway toward there, instead of turning left and going to the shopping center, you keep on going straight, you'll arrive at Hirao School of Management, or as we like to call it, Cube.
Right, okay, so of course we'll have some student volunteers near the station there to guide people.
That's exactly right.
As they're coming along. So I think like every place else, there's a McDonald's nearby and there's a coffee shop. So we have to be careful when people say go to the McDonald's, because I think in Tokyo the rule used to be if you're on any corner intersection and you don't see a McDonald's, you should build a McDonald's. So there's that,
and there is one on each side of the station. So if you go out the north side of the station, you'll run into the wrong McDonald's. Yeah, we're on the south side.
Right. Okay. So if I was a person and I was coming, like, I've just broken my leg playing football or something. So there's going to be elevators to get me right to the door, right?
Yeah, you can, if you go down, as soon as you go out of the station, if you take the escalator or elevator down to the first floor, then you can walk along the road. You have to cross one intersection, but that's smooth sailing. If you take the walkway, the raised walkway, then you'll go straight south. Instead of turning left and going to the to the shopping mall, you keep going straight. Before you get to the final stairs that go down, there's an entrance to the building, and there's
Right.
an elevator in there that'll take you down. And then we're another 50 yards or 50 meters from there to the entrance.
Right. Okay. So it's easy access. So of course, for listeners, we're going to put some more information onto the event page. There'll be a little video. Maybe we can speed it up to make it easy for people to find. So when we get to the front door, so of course we are going to be having workshops on the Friday night, and then from Saturday, people will be able to get their badges and their bags and all the rest of it from the front reception. So when people come into the main building from the street, of course, there's glass doors. And then they're going to come into the lobby, and then at the lobby, there'll be a waiting area where we can get our badges, right?
That's correct. Yeah, so it'll be, we'll try to make it as smooth as possible. They'll be able to check in. There'll be someone at the door to guide you to the different desks where you can get your badge and bag. And then from there, you can head on up to the presentation rooms.
Right. Okay. So on Friday night, there's going to be the workshops. There's not going to be a Pecha Kucha. There was talk of a Pecha Kucha there before, but that's getting moved to July, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I think it's just too much, and it might be hard for people to decide should they be going to a workshop or should they be going to the Pecha Kucha night. It would be concurrent, so we don't want to get in the way of JALTCALL.
All right.
Right. Okay.
Brent, you mentioned that people need to get to the
east exit you want to take. And the east exit takes you out towards Hankyu Nishinomiya Gardens. So that's the one I always take.
East exit, right? Okay, so it
definitely
sounds as if we
Am I
going
to need a compass to find these east, west, north, south, or anything? Or
there's a big sign that says Hankyu Nishinomiya Gardens because that's where most people head out of the station. It's one of the biggest shopping malls in the whole of the west of Japan. I think at one time it was the biggest. It may have been usurped by another one recently, but it's enormous.
And that's just across the street, right? From the building?
Directly across the street, yep.
Right, okay. So it'll be easy to find. So can you guys give us like some idea of how many floors we're going to have the conference on and what we should expect like on each of those different floors?
Okay, yeah. So it's actually a 9-story building, but we will be doing almost everything on the second and third floor in terms of the conference, the presentations. The 5th floor will have set up for the publishers and also the poster sessions on both Saturday and Sunday. The 5th floor will also be kind of the socializing space. We'll have a little snack corner set up, coffee or soft drinks, and some snacks between sessions. I think we're planning at least one kind of coffee break or break time in the morning and one in the afternoon on each day. Is that correct?
Yep. Right now on Saturday, we have a coffee break from about 10:20 in the morning for an hour, and then in the afternoon from 12:45 to 4 for lunch. And then on Sunday, we again, loving coffee as we do, have a coffee break immediately after the keynote at 9 in the morning. So after the keynote, if no one will need coffee to wake them up after the keynote, but if you need to get an additional boost of energy, you'll have time set aside for that right there.
Yes, and
Oh, it'll be great.
there are quite a few restaurants in the area. Saturday and Sunday at Nishinomiya Gardens tend to be busy, and so it might take some time to, if you want to sit down lunch, to sit down and order and get your food delivered. But there's also a supermarket. There's a few supermarkets in the region and in the area, but there's one in Gardens, one another direction, one on the other side of the station.
Yep.
And if you wanted to buy a bento or a sandwich or something.
Brent, can I interrupt you here and ask, could we maybe get a site chair recommendation list from the two of you guys for places that you think are worth looking into for picking up a bento or bringing something for lunch?
We have a better plan. We're going to put student volunteers in charge of that. They're going to compile a list of the cool places to go, which Roger and I are unaware of.
That sounds perfect. That's great. Thanks for thinking ahead there, guys.
Sure.
So I guess if I'm coming to the conference and I don't really have time for running about like in and out the building, so I can just bring my bento with me. There's going to be like a tea and coffee service with like snacks and all the rest of it. So I can just eat my lunch like anywhere in the building, like the whole of Saturday or Sunday, whenever, right?
Not the entire building, but there will be a little bit of space on the second floor, a little bit of place on the first floor as well, third floor, and then the fifth floor. Fourth floor, there's a kiosk and our media center, which is like a library, but they won't be open on those days. And there's
the fifth floor is really best, right? So like up where the posters are going to be. So I think it's very reasonable that we don't eat in classrooms, because we wouldn't normally eat in our classrooms that we're doing it. Nobody wants to bring in a cup noodle that stinks the room out, or some spicy food. So let's maybe have people up in the atrium in the fifth floor. It's beautiful. There's lots of space up there, and there's lots of
we'd probably prefer people also not to go up to the other floors like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, because we won't be able to keep them clean. There won't be student volunteers or anyone up there. So it would be great if they could eat on the 5th floor, like you say.
Right. Okay. So we want to try to stick to the floors that we're told to. Right. Okay. Very, very, very kind of reasonable. Right. Okay. So for you guys, you've had Pechakuchas before. You've had PanSig. You've had JALTCALL. How many other conferences have you held at this venue?
The first one we held, I think, was Pieces of Global Language. And that was also a big conference. We were trying to get PGL kind of reestablished, because it had gone very quiet in those days. I think it was around 2011, around that time. And that was really good. We had a lot of international speakers. We had people from all over the place come from that. So that gave us experience in running the conference. And then, like you say, we hosted JALTCALL and we hosted PanSig, and then we've got JALTCALL coming back, which is great.
We did another one for a group of, was it English? I forget the name, but it's mainly like English school owners. And I forget the name of the group. I know Janina is part of that, and maybe David Paul in the old times. It may have been started by him.
Right.
Does anybody remember the name of that group?
I'm not sure the group, but David Paul's very famous for doing children's books, right?
Yeah, we also, interestingly, around, I think around the time of the tsunami, so 2011, there were a lot of venues in Tokyo and, just Kanto and further north that weren't able to host conferences.
Right,
and we hosted the Lego conference at that time. And that was fantastic. Wow. We really enjoyed that one.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, there is a conference I would love to attend. Right there. be
Well,
lost in the
you bring your
conference
own,
all
you bring your
day.
own piece.
I bring my own, but yeah, sure. Over here, guys, we're gonna do the Millennium Falcon over here. So come on, let's get to it. Here we go.
We've also hosted quite a few Kobe JALT events, and also their collaboration with the Filipino English language teachers in Japan group. So yeah, we've done a few events with them as well.
Okay, so there's probably quite a lot of people that know the venue, they know how to get there, and so of course I'd really encourage people who maybe are not a presenter, they just want to come and attend, to come along. It sounds as if it's going to be a really great spot to have a good conference, right?
The big warning that we would make is just make sure you don't head to Konan University, because it's a different station. The main campus is in Okamoto. We are not in Okamoto. We are in Nishinomiya.
Okamoto is closer to Kobe, right?
That's correct. Yeah, it's 3 stations away on Hankyu.
So that is not the one to go to. Okamoto is not the one to go to, right? Okay.
Nishinomiya.
Nishinomiya, right? Okay. And so, of course, the nearest station is Nishinomiya Kitaguchi, not Nishinomiya on another line, right?
I wanted to mention also the other lines actually are very accessible as well. If Hanshin is easier coming from Umeda or Osaka or Kobe, if you get off at Imazu Station, and then you can walk from there in probably 15 minutes, or there's also another branch line that takes you right to Nishinomiya Kitaguchi on the Hankyu line. So Hanshin is really convenient, and then JR Nishinomiya is about a 15 to 20 minute walk, but on a nice day it's very, very walkable.
So it sounds like we've got a good idea of how to get to the location. Myself, I'm going to be staying in a hotel near Umeda, so hopefully I'll get on that line. Where do you think people would mostly benefit from, like, getting a good hotel?
If they're coming by Shinkansen, they would probably take the Midosuji line, which is the subway line to Umeda, and then change to Hankyu there. If they're coming by airplane, there is a limousine bus that goes to Nishinomiya from Kansai Airport. From Itami, might be better to go, somehow get to the Hankyu line and then go into Umeda and then come that way. Kobe Airport, you want to get to Sannomiya, and then again, either Hankyu is the first choice, but JR and Hanshin will get you here as well.
Right, okay, so I guess international. We're probably going to have quite a few guests coming in from Taiwan, from Hong Kong, from mainland China, and well, hopefully we're having some guests. There's talk of people from Philippines, from Malaysia, from Pakistan, from, I think it was Lahore, and maybe Nepal as well. So there's going to be quite a few. I think last year at JALTCALL, there was close to a quarter of people were coming in from overseas, and I think there was a similar number of people were actually their first time to come to a JALTCALL conference. So I guess, like, post-COVID, during COVID, everybody was hit, and then post-COVID, it was like a kind of slow catch up. Last year, we had more people, the most number of people we'd had post-COVID. This year, we had over 200 applicants wanting to come and present. So hopefully it's going to be a bumper conference. So of course our schedule is going to be, we're trying to keep the schedule limited in the fact that there's not too many sessions going on at the same time. So we're really focused on having eight sessions happening at any one time. But of course, when we're at the really, really busy sessions, so like in the middle of the days, like kind of like Saturday, Sunday, there will be maybe a few more than 8 sessions, but we're really trying to hold it so that we've got quality more than quantity. But yeah, we'll fill from the middle. But we do have a packed schedule. We've got workshops on Friday. We've got a full day on Saturday. Plus, we have got our banquet in the afternoon. So, of course, the banquet is going to be on site.
Yes.
And we're going to have Seikyo, the co-op, are going to lay on the service for us, right?
That's right.
That's correct. And they've done that before, and we had a meeting with them yesterday, so they're getting ready, getting excited. Try to have a range of food, also some vegetarian options, and some food and drink. And we should make a little plug here for Nishinomiya. This is one of the centers for sake production. So there's an area called Nadagogo, which actually goes all the way from Nishinomiya, actually even for a little bit further east, all the way to Kobe. It's a big sake producing area historically. So hopefully we'll have a few different varieties of sake to sample at the banquet as well.
Yay!
I know you. I know
when
that
you say that, Brent. Yeah, when you say that, what I hear you saying is that there is going to be like a sake walking tour or something like that. There at the conference.
That could be possible, actually. That for people who do want, Brian was asking earlier about things to do in the area. There's quite a few sake factories that open up, so you can take a walk. You can take the train. Hanshin line is a little bit better for that. They're a little bit closer to the breweries, but yeah, you can get inside and see some of those. Most of them have a little gift shop where you can see what they have.
Yeah,
so we have now lost Brian. We've lost Brian for Friday now. I'm pretty sure about that.
How far away was it? It was a 10-minute walk or a 50-minute stagger.
But there's loads of things to do in the area, because we've also got, if you go towards Osaka, like we were saying, you've got Osaka Castle, you've got the Dotonbori area, you've got loads of, Osaka's a big eating capital, right? And then if you go to Kobe
on the other side. Kobe on the other side, they're really developing the harbor area. So there's a brand new arena down there, and home to the Kobe Storks, which is our basketball team. And that's a great place to walk too. The waterfront, all the way from there to all the way from Hat Kobe, which is where the Earthquake Museum and the Museum of Modern Art is. You can actually walk.
Museum, right?
Yeah.
And Brent tells me the craft beer is good in Kobe too.
That's top secret information. I can tell you, but I have to kill you.
Yeah, links in the show notes. So of course, I guess there's going to be a lot of people that are coming in from both sides. So people coming from all the way down to like Fukuoka, Okayama, and stuff like that. So they're probably most likely going to be staying somewhere on the kind of Kobe side. And then people like me coming from like Nagoya, or people come from like Kanto, they're more likely going to stay in the kind of Osaka side. So yeah, we'll put in some more links onto the website. But of course, using AI or using Google to just search for these things, you'll get a multitude of hits. But I recommend people should be reserving their hotels ASAP because they'll be starting to fill up. There's not a marathon happening that weekend, is there? JALTCALL often manages to stumble into a marathon like somewhere.
I'm pretty sure Kobe Marathon is in the fall, and Ashiya Marathon was just last weekend. I don't know about Osaka. Yeah.
That would be just generally better for people's health, I think, anymore. Marathons June, July, August seem like they'd be a bit dangerous in today's world. I don't know.
Yeah, just do Ekiden running from sake brewery to sake brewery, right?
There you go.
Right, guys, that is us for part 2. Join us after the break. We're going to wrap up in part 3. See you then. Hi, welcome back to the JALTCALL podcast with myself, Brian, Geoff, Roger, and Brent. So we're just going to wrap up now, section 3. So what's coming up on the horizon? So of course, this is April. Coming up in May is going to be the Pan-SIG conference forum, the JALTCALL forum in Nagoya. So if you're a JALTCALL member, please get in contact with us or please come along to it. Of course, there will be other JALTCALLers presenting at Pan-SIG, and if that will be at I think it's Chukyo University. We'll put the links into the page. And of course, another conference that's coming up, that one that I will be going to, Bradley Irwin will be going to, Edo Forsyth, and quite another few people from Japan. We're going to Taiwan, going to Taichung in Taiwan. So you have to fly to Taipei and then take the bus or the train down. So that's Taiwan Call. That's a joint conference with PACCALL and GLOCALL, which is Global Call. And that is going to be running just at the end of Golden Week. So that conference is running Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's 7th, 8th, and 9th of May. Get your tickets soon for that. And of course, our own conference is going to be in June, to get the dates right this time. So of course, our conference is on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's the 12th through to the 14th of June in Nishinomiya. Geoff, when is the JALT International Conference?
The JALT International Conference, I have no idea, actually.
No idea. So of course, that is going to be in November. So we've got still a bit of time out for that. But we're going to have a JALTCALL forum at JALT International, and there's probably quite a lot of other JALTCALLers. We'll have a special on that nearer to the time with that.
You want to retake that?
Yeah, Brent and Roger. So can you tell us what's coming up in your area?
Yeah, can I go ahead? Brent and I are actually the city hosts for Pedagogy night in Nishinomiya. So we've got plenty going on. We've been doing this, I think, also since 2009. We are the 200th city in the world to host Pedagogy night. There are now 1,350 odd cities in the world hosting it.
Woo!
And this week, tomorrow, in fact, will be our 66th ever Pedagogy night. We host it basically 4 times a year. And then following that, we'll have another one tentatively planned for July the 10th, Friday. And we always have a bunch of people, normally from the local community, anywhere in the Kansai area, especially Nishinomiya, coming to talk about their passions, what they're doing. We've had young kids, we've had elderly people, those in between, and it's a great way to get together and find out what's going on and listen to interesting talks. All the talks are short and sweet, 20 slides times 20 seconds, total of 6 minutes and 40 seconds. And the motto is think and drink.
Sounds great.
Drink.
And one more thing, if it's okay, I'll jump in and talk about another project that Roger and I have been involved in for some time now. So we actually met in 2006 at a Teachers Helping Teachers. This Teachers Helping Teachers is a group that later became a SIG within JALT. At that time, it wasn't part of JALT, but we met there. And in 2009, when we opened up our department, we also started doing workshops and seminars in Kyrgyzstan. And so, Roger, how many times have we been in Kyrgyzstan now? Annual?
Oh my word! Just about every year
So
since
almost...
then. Of course, the pandemic got in the way, but we even did it online during that time.
Yeah, so around 18, 19, 20 years we've been doing that.
Yep.
This year we'll be doing it again in September. So we invite JALTCALL members, anybody who's interested in visiting that part of the world, It's basically scheduled for the end of the second and third week of September. This year is really special because the nomadic games will be hosted in Kyrgyzstan. It travels between those former stands countries every year. And so that's the first week of September, or around the first week of September. And so scheduling it to attend the Nomad Games and then participate in Teachers Helping Teachers in Kyrgyzstan. We'll probably be in Bishkek for 2 events around the 13th or around the 7th, 8th, 9th. And then we might be in another part of the country as well for one more event. You can find out some information on the THT website, or you can contact Roger or myself. Hope to see some JALTCALL members there.
All right. Okay. Sounds great. So if you're going to Kyrgyzstan, do we need to learn Russian, or are we okay just bundling through with English?
Yes and no.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Russian helps, but English will get you a long way. There's actually a large interest in Japanese. So yeah, I think English, okay. Japanese, or Russian.
Sounds great. Thanks very much. So thanks guys for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing you at the Cube in June. So Roger, Brent, Geoff, thanks very much. We'll see you next time on the JALTCALL podcast. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks much, guys.